Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. My name is Timothy Ekwebelem. Today I'm going to be taking you on the topic which I titled The War of Viruses, Who Wins? We all know that the world is under the threat of coronavirus. We all know that the whole world is terrified of coronavirus. People are scared to go out. Everybody in the whole world is under a lockdown. The world is under a lockdown because of these unseen beasts called coronavirus. The coronavirus is the #1 world enemy as it is today. Many people have died of coronavirus, and there are many confirmed cases of those who are now carrying the virus. And some people are healthy carriers, and some are already admitted in the hospitals. The hospitals sometimes are no longer able to accommodate the number of people that are being admitted in the hospital. Many countries of the world and the leaders of the world are looking and finding a way how they will be able to tackle this virus, how they will be able to take out this unseen beast that is terrifying the whole world. As it today, record shows that from December 31st, 2019 to the 6th of May, 2020, that was yesterday, that the number of coronavirus cases around the world population rose to 3,623,803 cases. That is serious. We also know that the United States have already surpassed Italy in the number of the people that was infected by the virus. America's case has rose to 1,204,475 cases as of yesterday. So, having seen this, and one will question me, why did you title this The War of Viruses, Who Wins? Is the world at war with virus? Is the world at war with viruses? And if it is coronavirus that is facing the world, why are you calling it the war of viruses? Isn't it just one virus that is threatening the whole world? Yes, it's a good question. But I must tell you that the world is at war with coronavirus and the viruses. Why I said viruses, there are other viruses that will invade this earth. If the world does not rise up now to defend itself. The way the world will tackle coronavirus as one of the viruses that has come to terrify the world, even would have wiped out the world if the world is not self-conscious of what has come upon the world. So how is the world prepared of the upcoming viruses in the future, and what about this one, the coronavirus that is worrying the world? Yes, everybody in all parts of the world is trained like a soldier. We are like military men who are at home. Because the World Health Organization looks like a commander-in-chief of this war. The commander-in-chief, in the sense that the World Health Organization is teaching everybody on how they will be what? Laying cover at various houses, in their various houses. They're telling you how you wash your hands regularly, how you cover your nose, how when you sneeze you must have your handkerchief, and you must cover your nose, and that word that you don't put your hands in your nose and in your eyes and in your mouth, and that you keep a social distance of 2 meters, and that you should stay at home so you don't get infected. So everybody's prepared. Even little children knows that this is what they ought to do in preparation for this war. But there are some people who are in the front battle, who are they are facing coronavirus. That's why it's like a war. These people are the medics. They are in the war front. But I'm not going to talk much about it, but I'm going to come back to it again to talk on it, to talk about the war front. Those who are in the war front, I've just said about the people that are laying cover in their various houses, which include us here. So, how do I continue? I'll continue to first of all differentiate coronavirus from other viruses that is in the family of betacoronavirus, a genre of the family of coronavirus, which include the SARS. We know about the SARS. In 2002-2003, it was also a serious virus that invaded the world, and everybody was careful. But you can see we had about SARS, but SARS is not as threatening as coronavirus COVID-19. We also know about the SARS-CoV and the MERS, that's the MERS-CoV as well. And then this newest one, which is the coronavirus COVID-19, which has not been experienced in any human body before. It's new to the human body, from animal to human body. So all of this collectively under the betacoronavirus, the viruses family, and all of them have their genome, in their genome, RNA, which is ribonucleic acid, which is their genetic backup. And we know that human beings have their own genome. The viruses have their own genomes as well. And the virus has the capacity to exist as living and non-living, and it is a parasite, and it will need a host. And because it does not have a machine of itself, it must need a human host machine to be able to replicate, to be able to transcript, and all is to complete its mode of action, and also to invade the person and to kill the person. So you need a human machine to do that. And we know that this virus is what is in the virus of this coronavirus is similar to what is in a human being. In the virus, you have protogenic proteins and enzymes. You have the cytoplasms and all that, and endoplasms, and all the contents that is in it. You have cell membranes that is in the coronavirus structure. So before I talk about the structure in proper, I will first talk about the origin of the new coronavirus COVID-19, which started in Wuhan, China. Wuhan is a city in China, is where it all started. A woman, a doctor, noticed a patient that is exhibiting a flu-like symptom with pneumonia, and there was no treatment and could not respond to treatment. And when it was checked, investigated, and the virus that has something that looks like a crown. You know, the coronavirus was given the name corona because they have a crown on them. And since the coronavirus has a crown, it doesn't look like a crown, the spikes is a spike that make it like a crown. So, and it was reported to WHO, the World Health Organization, who now on their own with China sat down on the investigation to be able to find out exactly which name to be given to the coronavirus, and then arrive at that name, COVID-19, was the coronavirus. So coronavirus is not just one coronavirus. There are genres of coronavirus, the family of coronavirus. So now that brings us to what happened yesterday. How yesterday, day before yesterday, you know, the U.S. President Donald Trump made a statement where he was indirectly accusing China of having manufactured this virus in their Wuhan lab. The same Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, American Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, also said that he had every evidence to prove that it was China that manufactured this thing in the lab. But Mr. Trump, Mr. President, is saying that it was China, though China does not want to admit that it was in the lab that was manufactured, but all he can say that it could have been an accidental thing, that maybe a worker in in the lab might have contracted the virus. That it wasn't that the China purposed to infect the whole world. And China on their own have already said that the origin of coronavirus could have been from the wet market where people buy bushmeats. And their investigation is showing that the coronavirus came from a bat, and that bat was bought at the Wuhan wet market in China. So that's a brief history of what is happening. So that will bring us to the structural genome of the virus. The structural genome of the virus. Like I said, the virus has enzymatic and protogenic cell membranes and all parts of proteins and different kinds of things inside the content of this virus. Just like a cell will have a cytoplasm, you have an endoplasm, then you have the enzymes, then you have the proteins. It's also, then you have the RNA, the genome pack, which is also the genome RNA, which is also similar to what is in a human being, that you have proteins in your body, you have enzymes, and you have the cell membranes and a whole lot of things. So it's also the coronavirus. So in the coronavirus, what makes coronavirus look like it's got a crown? You can see what I use the red is a sketch. I use the red marker to paint here so that you can see that it protruded out of the endoplasm and inside and out. It's stuck out, and in there you can see that the spike is. You can see I put the blue and the red and the green. These are where the spike at the top of it is where the spike is, and that spike looks like a crown. That's what makes it look like a crown. And these spikes is the proteins. It's called the spike proteins. It's a protein, and it creates an entrance. It uses it to do what? The function is what it uses for an attachment. This spike is used for attachment. It's a weapon for coronavirus to be able to attach itself to this host. Because coronavirus has not got machine of its own. So it must use a human machinery to do what? To be able to replicate and all this stuff. So what it does, that a combination, this spike cannot work without what? The enzymatic protein, which is enzymatic protease. And the enzymatic protease we're talking about here is the TMPRS2 in combination with what? The virus spike protein. That's the receptor, virus receptor or spike protein. So when they combine together, it will be able to do what? To attach itself to the human host. So inside, outside of the coronavirus is the capsid. So what that capsid does, when someone sneezes out and the virus is outside, there's a protective layer that covers this virus from sun rays, from heat, from cold, and from anything that will be a threat to the virus. So this is called the viral capsid that protects it. It's like a shell. So when you sneeze out, if you have coronavirus and it goes there, it's covering. That's why they're telling Africans, you are saying that heat does not kill, that the heat kills coronavirus. It cannot affect Africans. So no. This thing exists as a certain time. In a metal, it takes a long time. In clothes and all that. So when it's outside, it's existing as and non-living things got a capsid protecting it. That's why people have to be very careful about how they communicate with people, how they talk to people. So now inside the capsid you have a small envelope called the envelope membrane. I told you that it has a membrane. In the cell, the difference between the human cell, the eukaryotic cell, and the plant cell. The other one has a cytoplasm, the other one has and the cell wall, you have the cell membrane. Okay? That's protecting it. So now you have, like I said, that the virus have the similar stuff like the human cell. Then it got the envelope membrane. and it's got the spike, like I just said before. Then it contains the genome. You can see here now. Look at here. The genomic RNA is here. Can you see? You have the genomic RNA. Then you have a small pin here. You can see there's something like a small dot that are represented is the nucleoproteins. Nucleoproteins. Then here as well, you have the hemagglutinin esterase. Okay. Then inside, like I said, it's packed with enzymes of different kinds of things. Inside a whole lot because I can keep writing and drawing, but this is like a sketch so that you will understand what I'm talking about. So the processes, when I said the structure of coronavirus, the process at which it invades the human host is, like I said, that this is an attachment where this is the weapon of coronavirus, is the spike, is the crown. So this spike is a protein. So what the spike does is a spike work with the enzyme protein. So spike work with the enzyme protein, and this enzyme protease is titled TMPRSS2 to complete its means of attachment. Okay, and again, they two do not work alone together. They work with what we call the viral receptor. Well, the viral receptor, which is called spike protein. Okay, like I said, when these combine together, they'll be able to do what? Create an entrance. And when they create an entrance into the human host, they will do that. They will uncoat themselves. Like I said, if I remove my clothes, that means it's like I've uncoated myself. If you're wearing a coat, you remove your coat, you have uncoated yourself. So what they do is, for them to become active in a human body, they're not going to be wearing their coats. It's like someone who came home from it's winter and he just came home, it's cold outside, just came home where it's one way to relax and eat. When you get home, you remove your coats and you hang it. That is what they do, so that you'll be able to do what? Take a cup of coffee or wherever you want to do. So what they uncoat themselves, and so that we can see their viral genome outside. And with their viral genome, they will not then translate themselves, a process. They translate themselves, it's a process. So when they translate themselves, then the virus then does what? The virus genome or the viral genome then does what? Start to replicate itself. So we have first translation, they translate themselves. First, they encode themselves, they translate themselves, then they do what? They begin to do what? They begin to replicate themselves. After replication, they will do what? They begin to form what is called transcription. HIV uses reverse transcriptase. I said that what you have, they try to have it. They reverse your own transcription. So, in HIV, anything that can make the reverse transcriptase irreversible, you have found a cure. So, but we're not talking about HIV. So, when they have done the transcription, then they will now do what? They will form what is called viral assembly. The virus will assemble proper. They've entered you. When they assemble together, they will now try to mature. They'll bud. Your body, they will burst at a particular time, and when they bud, they will begin to do what? Enter into the human cell. But remember that the virus itself works on the DNA of the human host. So what it does is, when it attacks itself, it begins, like I said, here's translation, begin to translate itself, then begin to do what? Replicate. Translate is like transcription. It transcribe, translate, and begin to encode false messages to the cell membrane. I say that cell membrane is the war zone. Cell membrane, they are the war zone. That's where the virus attack first. Because when they attach themselves to the DNA, they begin to encode false deceiving information to the cell membrane and begin to attack the cell membrane. And the cell membrane, having gotten these coded messages, thinking that it was their normal DNA that gave them the message, and they begin to carry the messages to all parts of the organs of the body. So that's where the area, the battlefield, the war front is the cell membrane. So with that now, it will affect all the cells, and from there they will start boarding. They burst out, and they do what? They begin to infect the person, and the person will begin to have the symptoms. And this takes a period of about 14 days. People with low immune system can develop it, get the symptoms just in 2 days. Some will get it just in 5 days after contracting. Now, people with a good immune system can get it in 14 days to start having the symptoms. Now, what does this thing take us to? Having explained the structure in what is inside the viral capsid. You know, when I just discuss what is inside the viral capsid or the DNA, and how does it replicate, which I've just explained to you. It's a question. You know, I just jumped into this. Is a question. What is inside of the viral capsid? These are the things, the enzymes, the proteins, and over inside of it. How does it replicate? I just explained to you. Then, how many people has it killed as of today, 6 May 2019? I've already said it to you that they have killed 3,623,803 people worldwide. So, now, what is the recent cure direction? How is the world going about the cure? What treatment is the world using, and what is the current treatment, the future treatment? Now, the world is using the treatment using right now. There's no drug and there's no vaccine. The doctors are making do with what they got. Sometimes they begin to treat patients with antiviral drugs during trial, and then treat them combination antiviral, and not try to use antibiotics for the pneumonia. And your body's immune system, if it's good enough, you can respond to the treatment. So many people are dying. So, but it has nothing to do with age. Sometimes they say age has an effect, but younger people are dying, 8 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, 25 years old. So it's no longer the disease of the old itself. But we have to investigate the reason why some people, when they are treated, they respond, they have a response to the treatment. Their body responds very well. While some people, when they are treated, they don't get well until a stage we have to put ventilators inside of them and put in ventilators. And when they stay on the ventilator for more than 2 days, they never get out of that ventilator anymore. And there they will die. So why are some people dying and others are not dying? Why are some people not even going to hospitals? They just get the symptoms, and it will be the symptom won't be a serious symptom. It will be a mild symptom. They just cough for 2 days, sneeze for 2 days, and that's it. How? What is happening? Why are some people dying, some people are not dying? Why are black doctors in the medical teams in the US and the UK dying more than the white counterpart? Does it mean what people are saying, the critics are saying, that the whites are allowing the black unprepared, unequipped, and they don't wear protective gear, and that's why they're dying? And I look at it and say, no, that is not what is happening. They are wearing the same kit, protective kits. Nobody is doing a racial thing. The thing is, there's something which we scientists in the world have failed to know. And because when it comes to this kind of thing, we should be asking ourselves, why is this person responding to this, and why is this person dying, and why is this person having a mild symptom? That's when we begin to look into what is called variation in genes. The way one individual responds to drugs is different from the way another person responds to drugs. So it might have been what is happening to the black people. Have we investigated to see the action of variation or absence of, gene variation and absence of key metabolizing enzymes in the whites and the key metabolizing enzymes in the black? The antiviral drug you're using, injection you're using to treat, does the patient have the key metabolizing enzyme that will metabolize that drug that you're giving him or her? Do you have a genome bank that have stored people's genes? These are questions to be expressed. Then why are we failing to use our initiative to tailor medicine, drugs, treatment to a particular patient individually? We can tailor treatment individually if we see the variability in people's response to drugs. Variability can occur, our absence of key enzyme due to what? Ethnicity, race matters. Because white people might be responding to a particular type of treatment, and a black might not be responding to it because of ethnic differences, because of genetic differences. Like I said, about 1% of the entire population is what? Show variation or absence of key metabolizing enzymes of certain drugs. So that's polymorphism of drug metabolism matters. That's what will come to what we call uh, pharmacogenomics, which I titled in my previous lessons as the future of drug research and the future of coronavirus care. So if we're looking at this and say people has how many people has it have treated it, what is the recent cure direction? Are we using vaccine and drug? If we're using vaccine and drug, is the vaccine and drug working? And if it's not working, if the drug is not working, which we're using antiviral drugs, why is it not working? If it's working in some people and they go to hospital, within 2 weeks they're out of the hospital, the other person dies, the other group of people die, why is it happening? That's what I just stated now when I talked about variation or absence of key metabolizing enzymes in different people. Then, now, we talked about vaccine. The world is talking about vaccine. Different countries are under competition now. The whole world is competing who will be the first person to get the vaccine. And while we are trying to get this vaccine, Oxford University, in their research, have already started the first trial in man. That's human experiment. That means they have passed the hurdle of the toxicological studies and have entered what? The clinical trial. That's the human first in man studies. Now the question is, some people have reported that many pharmaceutical companies, or when scientists, things like this happen, scientists are being given overestimated or being given a whole lot of money. Like it can be given like 5 billion, 10 billion, 20 billion, all that, 1 billion, a whole lot of money, and everybody is under the agitation to do what? To find a cure, because there's a pressure on the scientists and there's some money in it, and people rush to get this vaccine because the money is available and it's given to them, and the pressure. Everybody's asking, we want you to get the virus. They're under pressure, and they mistakenly, I won't say mistakenly, and they rushingly do what? Get a vaccine without passing through the due process. We know that's what we call medical ethics and ethics in medicine, ethics in medical research. Some of us have broken this ethics in medical research without particularly going through what we're supposed to go in this research, and we begin to do what? We begin to leave the ethical issues that is involved. So, what are the advantages of trying to do what? To fast track vaccines. The advantage is that we're going to get what? People will be vaccinated all over the world. People will be protected. So what is the disadvantages? The disadvantages is what? Denial of people's freedom of consent. People were not given, you force the people, so everybody's going to get the vaccine, and people does not have their own freedom to say no. And in human experimentation, you cannot force anyone to do what? To receive a trial drug without their consent. It's against the ethics in medicine. So the disadvantage of trying to rush for a vaccine is that normally vaccine takes, drug production of vaccine takes about 8 years to 10 years to be able to do what? Why it takes 8 to 10 years to be able to get a vaccine that will not pose threat to human beings? Is because within these 8 years, you might have gone through all the toxicological studies, you have gone through the clinical development of this, you have done live trials, you have tested polymorphism, you have done everything in different parts of the country. Now you know that when your patients take it, people take it, they will not pose threat on them, and it will not result to adverse reaction. It will not result to fatal reaction. We're talking about the side effect of the drugs you are giving to the people of the vaccination. What after you have given it? Sometimes people are saying that FDA, 3 out of 5 FDA officials have connection with money with the pharmaceutical companies to do what? To allow them to do what? To grant them a license to do what? To sell their drugs. most times drugs which are not supposed to pass phase 1 were allowed to pass phase 1 stage to second stage. This is what investigation is showing now, that 3 out of 5 allowed that because of money that's attached to it. So we're in the process of rushing to want to get a vaccine. Everybody's saying we want to get a vaccine within 1 month, to get a vaccine within 5 months, within 6 months, whatever. We are asking about what's the end effect of it. These are the risks. And when you're producing a drug, the risk, the benefit must outweigh the risk. So the ethical issues here is, okay, I say adverse reaction over fatal reactions that I mentioned, death. People can die as a result of it. Does the advantage outweighs the risk? That's the question. Well, I cannot say right now. So what I'm looking at is the ethical issue, informed consent. Do you allow the people to do what? To consent to what you're going to do? And if not, have you done proper clinical trials that involve different parts of the world, where you're going to try multi-site trials before you can conclude to say that this vaccine is safe for human beings to apply? Then we look at atrocities, and we'll call this one, it's called Nuremberg laws were proposed when atrocities were committed in human experimentation. Hitler killed a lot of Jews and used them as guinea pigs for human experimentation without toxicological studies. Hitler just gathered the Jews and was using them to do all kinds of tests. Sometimes he put poison inside their body to see what the poison will do inside their body. So they were like guinea pigs. So after that, this law was made that never again should such a thing happen without people, forcing people to do something without their consent in medical research. So it's against medical ethics to force people to be involved in a clinical research or clinical trial of drug. And the ethics is, again, we look at the pregnant people who are pregnant. What about the fetus? What about the people, the baby? Will this vaccine affect the baby in the womb? What about children? Were you able to manipulate? Because if you're making a vaccine, you first of all, you know you're going to give it to everybody. You're going to give it including to children. So the process is too large. You first of all try the vaccine on adults, first of all, at a certain dose. It is from the dose you get the adult now to see what it works in, and after that you do some arithmetics. It's very, very difficult to do the arithmetics to find a particular dose which you will give to children and this kind of thing. So these are the things, a lot of implications. So the world is rushing to get a virus. All scientists are rushing to get the drug, even the vaccine. But the thing is, the question to the world is, if you get this thing, and after some few days, it destroys you or kills you, or bring more casualties, what will you say to the world? So I will say that we have to be very careful about this vaccine. We can do vaccine, take the normal process to get a vaccine. Right now, the world shouldn't have been under loose. The world is in a lockdown. That lockdown thing is a good idea because people will not cross network and infect others. But countries like United States, cities and states like New York and some parts of America, and countries like Nigeria and African countries are doing what? Applying to unlock the people. Africans are unlocked. Now people can get a second generation of infection, and that will give a total lockdown. That will be more. People will infect each other. So we have to be careful not to give it to one another. And again, I missed that one. The ethical issue about Africans. Most Africans live less than 50 cents a day. That means less than $1 a day. And sometimes researchers come to Africa and influence these Africans that are living under poverty without money and induce them with the money, large amount of money. And when they receive it, they think, oh my God, I'm going to use my body. Come and test it on me. Even vaccines that can kill them, the Africans that are not educated, the Africans that don't have money, and these people come and do it and use them as guinea pigs. And these are the things that the ethics in medicine and all this number law is protecting. That's protecting people from the lower classes, the people from poorest countries of the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, There's going to be a part 2 of this lecture. But before I conclude, I just want to make a little bit of summary. I said the war of viruses is between the world and coronavirus. And the people in the front battles that are dying, that are taking their blood every day, are the medical doctors and nurses. And I would say that everybody is like a soldier being trained. And I talked about the origin that came from China, from Wuhan, and the structures and the genome, RNA, and spike and nuclear protein and all that is contained in this. And I also mentioned how this is being transmitted and how they are spike and the enzyme protease, the TMPRS, in combination with the viral the spike proteins together make an entrance on how they infect the human body. I also talked about vaccine, and I also talked about which way we are going, the direction for a cure, vaccination and drug. If there is a drug, there's no drug. And also talked about the ethical issues, the informed consents, and also talked about the Nuremberg laws, the atrocities that was committed by Hitler, and also the effect of these drugs if people were not allowed to consent without intimidation, freely and willingly. So, ladies and gentlemen, that comes to our part 1 lecture on the war of viruses, who wins. In the second lecture, I'm going to be going deeply into the title. That's where you see what the title, what it's saying, where it's headed. And meanwhile, I will advise you to subscribe my channel, Timothy Ekwebelem. And when you subscribe, at the top of the website is a bell. I will advise you to click on that bell. And I will strongly advise you to subscribe, because there are many things that will be coming from me now that the whole world is under a lockdown, so that you can know your rights and you can know what an informed consent and all the processes of the drug that you're taking, how it is being made. And that brings us to the end of the lecture. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Thank you for your time. Having to wait to finish the video, watching this video, is a bonus. Thank you and God bless you.